Let's check out this really cool park that has a deep history with Hollywood and movies. Right here on Let's Hit the Road Jack.
What's up, YouTube land? I just wanted to say hello to all the Queen's Army out there. Keep supporting, keep marching. We're about to take over the world. But in the meantime, are you ready? Let's hit the road.
Ready, Bubba? You ready? You want to go outside? We're gonna pop over here. He's all excited. Let's go check out Corriganville Park. Here we are. Get him, Bart. Welcome, everyone. Another edition of Let's Hit the Road Jack. Big thank you, by the way, to Shayna Baszler for doing that video for me. Pretty cool. Keep your eye out for more celebrities coming up on my channel in the near future, but pretty cool. But we're here in Simi Valley, California at Corriganville Park. Very interesting history here. We'll get into that in just a second, but of course, driving in, you saw for yourself quite a few people here. Quite a bit more than I would prefer. I was hoping it'd be a little more quiet here, but a lot of people enjoying the day here. And of course, there's a sign right up front that specifies to maintain your social distancing, 100% compliance required. So a lot of people coming through, obviously families that are living together and things like that. But anyway, Corriganville Park, this property was bought in the 1930s by a man named Ray Crash Corrigan. And he was an actor and stuntman in the way back in the day, and he built up some sets here for the Wild West old Western movies. A lot of old Westerns were shot here, and some of the movies include Fort Apache with John Wayne, Trail of the Vigilante, Mule Train, Rogues of Sherwood Forest, Escape from Fort Bravo, Skip Along Rosenbloom, Tarzan Escapes, and the Inspector General. And there's, from what I understand, quite a few TV shows were filmed here as well. Pretty interesting. So he bought this property, built up some sets that a lot of filming was done here in the 30s and later. And what was interesting about that is that during the week they would use the sets for filming. And then on weekends, you could buy a ticket, and it was like a Wild West theme park. And you could see stunt shows, shootouts, rodeos, that kind of thing. Really interesting stuff. All right here in this beautiful setting here. Unfortunately, in the 70s, a couple of fires came through here and destroyed everything. And then it was shortly after that closed down until the Rancho Simi Recreational Park District purchased the property and reopened it to the public. But of course, a couple years ago in 2018, another fire came through here, but it looks pretty good here. It looks like it's in good shape. So pretty fascinating stuff. We're going to take a look around and see what things there are to see. Maybe some stuff left over from filming days back in the day. So let's take a look around here at Corriganville Park. Okay, this will be a fun, interesting trail. This had little signs here that kind of give you some information about what we're looking at. And this is showing the Coast Live Oak. It's an oak tree, pretty prevalent here around California. But it's called the live oak because the leaves are green year-round. It's pretty interesting. Also, the Native Americans that lived here back in the day would use these trees for food and would gather up the acorns and make acorn cakes and gruel and that kind of thing. But pretty interesting. We're going to continue on down the trail and see what else there is to see around here at this very interesting park. Lots of cool stuff coming up. Just a beautiful rock formation there on that side, but on this side of the trail is a pile of rocks here, and it's not just a pile of rocks. These rocks were placed here after the Southern Pacific Railroad built a 1.5 mile tunnel between Chatsworth and Simi Valley in 1904. I'm getting all this information off this sign, by the way. I'm not just that knowledgeable about these things, but some of these trees, it looks like this one fell over, but date back to 1904 according to this sign. So pretty fascinating stuff. I would love to go through that tunnel. I wonder if it's still there, still being used. Pretty fascinating stuff. Alright, here's where things get really interesting. This little area here used to be filled with water, and some filming would go on here. They call it the Robin Hood Lake, but it's better known really as the Jungle Jim Lake. And there was a series of films back in the day called Jungle Jim. And they would fill this up with water, kind of like a swimming pool. And he used to stand up right on top of this rock here and dive into the lake with a strategic camera angle similar to this angle right here. Imagine that filled with water. It would look like a lake, and he would dive off of this rock into the water. And pretty interesting stuff. And they would get underwater camera shots here from a bridge that's nearby. I'll show you that in a moment. But underwater scenes, and imagine, you can see it's just like a little river. Pretty interesting stuff. But this used to be filled with water, and a camera angle just like this one here. It would look like a lake, a large lake. And pretty interesting. You could see he would dive down, and not too deep. So I'm sure a lot of precautions were taken to make sure he was safe diving into the water. But let's take a look at the bridge to see where they did the underwater camera angles. Let's check that out. So this is the bridge, and you can see little holes in the bridge here. Obviously this would be closed off, filled with water, and back in the day, of course, there were no waterproof cameras, so the cameras would be inside of this little room here, filming all the action, and they would film things like cowboy fights in a lake, underwater fights, and even wrestling an alligator. It would all go on right here, just about where I'm standing, with these cameras pointing out through these holes to capture all the footage. So pretty fascinating stuff how they used to film things way back in the day. So this is really fascinating stuff. Here's the bridge, and the little room for the cameras is right here. As a matter of fact, let's take a look a little bit closer. Doesn't look like much now, but that's where the little camera room would be. Who knows what kind of scenes they would film right here. My camera right now is positioned in the camera hole where they would do the filming. So water would be way up above my head level here. This would all be underwater right here. Of course, Jungle Jim would dive off of that rock right over there into the water, and then they'd film more action sequences, probably right around here where I'm standing, underwater, wrestling an alligator, cowboy fights in the water. You know, it's supposed to be like a big lake. So pretty fascinating stuff how they built all of this for movies. Right here at Corriganville Park. Now this is in Simi Valley, a little ways from Hollywood, not too far, but beautiful setting. Look at the background, the rocks. It's a beautiful Western-like setting. And you can just imagine how exciting that must have been, filming all those great movies. John Wayne somewhere around here. Jungle Jim. Filming lake fight scenes right here. Pretty cool. dive into the water, just like Jungle Jim. Ow, that really hurt. Man. Don't try this at home, kids, by the way. Editing, I didn't really jump off the thing. Anyway, just in case you couldn't figure that out. Anyway, this area here was, during the construction of the railroad, we saw where they put the rocks for the tunnel, but they were building the railroad, and this was actually, a lot of Chinese would build railroads back then, and this was a Chinese camp, this area right here, where a lot of the railroad workers would stay. And in this area they even found pottery shards. Now keep in mind, this is around between 1900 to 1904, so they would find Chinese pottery shards, broken pieces of pottery that were used here in this area. And the designs, according to this sign here, it was a blue design on a white background on the pottery. So that's pretty interesting. Now it's a beautiful picnic area. And just beyond is the Jungle Jim Lake, where you saw me jump off the rock onto the concrete below. Ow, that really hurt. So anyway, just beautiful over here. Let's continue on to see what is in store at Corriganville Park. All right, this kind of forest area was the location of Sherwood Forest. TV show in the 1950s, Robin Hood, was filmed right here, and this was Sherwood Forest. It's pretty interesting. And it's saying here on the sign, right here, whoop, that some of the birds that reside here are a great horned owl and a red-headed woodpecker, among others. So pretty interesting. Sherwood Forest, Robin Hood, right here. All right, these rocks here again have to do with the railroad mentioned before, the Simi Valley train tunnel, and that was built in the early 1900s. And we saw the mound of rocks earlier. Now this one, if you'll notice, has a hole drilled into it, and what they would do is put blasting powder into the hole and blow up the mountainside. So that's how they did it back then. They put blasting powder right into the hole. And this is an example of a rock where they would drill holes into it. Pretty interesting. And this is kind of the end, the other side from the bridge of Jungle Jim Lake. Okay, we're at the other end of Robin Hood Lake, or Jungle Jim Lake. This is the east end. And if you look closely here, there used to be another bridge here. This was called the Susana Pass Bridge, and that was named that because it was used in the filming of a movie called Susana Pass. Other movies filmed here include Twilight in the Sierras, The Three Musketeers, Inspector General, Swordsman, and Flame and the Arrow. Now this bridge didn't have a place to put cameras. This was built just for scenery and kind of capped off the other end of Jungle Jim Lake. Right over here, also called Robin Hood Lake, because Robin Hood was filmed all right around through here. The lake was also used in the Robin Hood show as well. Let's take a closer look. Okay, we're down in Jungle Jim Lake, and all that's left of the bridge now are these concrete support structures. But just imagine there was a bridge that would go across right here. Pretty neat. Okay, this is a very interesting tree here. This sign is showing you here that what was here first? The rock or the tree? Let me know in the comments. I'll let you know at the end of the video. What was here first? The rock or the tree? What do you think, Babar? He's saying the tree was here first. Okay, if you look carefully, we're coming up upon some remains of buildings. These are just foundations left, and I believe these are the remains of the Old West sets that were built here as part of the filming locations and theme park here at Corriganville. So we'll see if there's any signs that tell us more, but pretty interesting. Destroyed by fire, by the way, in the 70s. I'm not sure what this building was, but here's the ruins of it. You can walk right through here. If I find out what it was, I'll put it in the video. Here's some more foundation. I found something interesting here. There's actually a little bit of tile left here. I would be very interested to see what this building was. If you turn around from this location, a very large structure used to be here. Unfortunately, no signs that tell you what was here. I'm assuming this was the some of the building sets that used to be here. But I'll do a little bit of research online. If I find anything out, I'll put it in the video. If you don't see anything on the video, then I just don't know. If you zoom in up here is a water tower. Alright, so coming down this trail, I kind of found what I was looking for. There's this giant oak tree here. Look at this. We're going to head underneath here. There's good little bar. And here's this sign I've been looking for. This tells us what we're looking at. This is really cool. So Silvertown, that's the name of the Wild West theme park. Let's take a closer look at this photo here. How fun does that look? Look at all the people there in the background, and they're watching kind of a fight scene or something going on here. And in the background, you can see this. This was actually a stable where they kept horses for stagecoach and trail rides. How fun is that? And then, of course, you've got the rocks in the background there, and really cool. Look at this. And on the left here is his name is Pat Buttram, and he played Mr. Hanky. Well, howdy-ho, howdy-ho. Oh, wait, I've read that wrong. Mr. Haney. Oh, sorry, not Mr. Hanky. Mr. Haney from Green Acres. So he's in that. I don't think they had Mr. Hanky back in 1964. So we had a Green Acres actor there. Right next to him, his name is Bill Willingham. He's a character actor. And this here is Ray Corrigan, the owner of this ranch at the time. Ray Crash Corrigan. He was an actor and stuntman who owned this whole property here. Really fascinating stuff here. So if we're going to look at this photo here, notice this stable here. That's the building with the walls that we walked through earlier. Behind it is the rock formation. So if we look up here, there's the rock formation. There's those walls. That's the area we walked through earlier. So that would be the stable. And the photo we took was probably right in front of where we're standing right now. 1964. So just fascinating stuff. Really cool. Otherwise known as the Corriganville Movie Ranch. If you want more information about this location, check out the description below. I'll put links. Lots of I could spend hours going over all kinds of information and doing shot comparisons and things like that. But just fascinating place. It's open year-round, dawn to dusk. Make sure you social distance right now if you're coming out here, and be careful out there wherever you go. But that's going to wrap things up here. If you enjoyed this episode, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. By the way, let's answer that question. What was there first, the tree or the rock? The answer? The rock was there first. If you smell what the rock... No, I'm just kidding. The rock was there. The tree started growing up next to it. Needed more space to grow and to survive, and started growing around the rock. So that's the story with the tree and the rock. Pretty interesting how nature works like that. But anyway, hit that subscribe button, hit thumbs up. Stay tuned. We're going to be coming up with some more videos. I might be doing some cooking videos. It's pretty soon, so stay tuned. But more of these types of videos coming your way real soon until we can go back to theme parks and things like that. But stay social distance, stay by yourself, don't go around other people, and be safe out there. But that's going to wrap it up here. Make sure you're subscribed, and that means it's time to say, until next time, we'll see you on the road.